Oh, thank you so much. So Danny Lim with a little bit of a pocket Valiant pick there. Scott, what do you think?
Danny, what are you doing here?
I like it.
Danny saw Seeker hit a bunch of shots and he's like, I'm in. I'm a believer of the Los Angeles Valiant. I've seen enough. London Spitfire obviously struggled yesterday, but it was against Atlanta, as Lemon said, and they have a lot more flexibility than the Valiant. Yesterday, we talked about it, Matt. With Curry on that tank, he really wanted to just lean on that Ramatra no matter what map and situation they were in.
Yeah, Danny kind of strikes me as the type that, like, they go to the store and they get everything they need, and then there's all that like shiny stuff by the register, and he can't control himself, and he just gobbles it all up. As the last image in his head was, you know, Seeker from yesterday. Is that's what he's going after. As will be Oasis kick things off here in this series. So look, I don't know if I agree with the pick from Danny, but
okay,
I can see it.
Okay.
I can see it. I could potentially see a little bit of a Valiant run. We put so much stock in, like, you know, this London Spitfire team has been together for a while. How much stock do you put in that?
It goes a long way, especially when they're going to play this composition. They're obviously very tried and tested on it. They played it a lot of last year. But for me, I agree that I can see it. I don't think it's going to be as much about the cohesion when we see these two matchups. It's going to be the Ramatra versus the Reinhardt again. Are the Valiant comfortable playing this Ramatra, and is it going to force London into an uncomfortable position? We saw London struggle against Hawk playing that yesterday. Now against Crory, and I would say a weaker team in the Los Angeles Valiant, is he going to have the same issue?
I'm kind of upset you don't have your Valiant jersey on. I know Tay somewhere out there has his on. As
that's true. I'm a changed person. I only have the green ones, so it's too vintage for some people.
Spitfire. Oh yeah, those are collector's items at this point. As Spitfire, they'll take control of the point here first. You're going to have the Valiant, and this is kind of where I kind of see some value with the Ramatra, right? Like, you can take high ground, you can actually do some damage as the tank from the high ground, right? You can play, I know, from a little bit of different off angles. As Wall goes up here in front of Seekers, he's on the Cassidy, just trying to find some heads. As just like that, they just kind of push the Spitfire off of the point, but Backbone on the May comes on a little bit of a cheeky flank. He's able to get one. They kind of a little bait and switch there on the Crawley as. You know, he's looking one way, trying to make a play for Backbone, and here comes Hottie from the other direction. Nice play there to open things up from London.
Hottie says, how dare you turn your back to me, and then pins him into a wall. But we are going to see N2S switch over to the May. I wasn't a huge fan of the Tracer pick. It's very difficult to get value, and the chances of just dying to a straight Icicle or a headshot from Sparker is just too high. So we're going to see them go to the May. They'll be able to choose more tempo as a team now, but they have no ultimates coming up. They didn't really accomplish anything in that first little bit of time, and CJ's going to get picked by the off-angling Sparker, so that's going to force another retreat and a reset from the Valiant.
Yeah, they go with May, and they also actually take Seeker off of the Cassidy, and he'll be playing the Hanzo. So a little bit more burst potential, I think, with like May and Hanzo, right? You just lose some of the survivability from the damage dealers, right? Like if you had like May and Cassidy in the mix, kind of like how the London Spitfire do, like May plus Cassidy plus like an immortality field, right? I mean, it is definitely difficult to take down some of those DPS. As London, no fear, that'll be an Amp Matrix. Nice May wall there from N2S, getting right in the mix, so gonna block some of the damage that comes through.
Yeah, just not able to wind swing for the Spitfire, but they're going to commit even further, using the Blizzard to isolate N2S. Great immortality field into some healing, into a wall by him, and they're actually going to live. So great play by the Valiant, making sure that they aren't punished for that, but 70% and counting here for the London Spitfire. As the Valiant is starting to step up, they've got the ultimates. The Dragon is going to cut the team off, and this is going to be a great play, but Sparker with the high...
he's going to get out.
He is out, and that's just going to force the London Spitfire back, but it did isolate Honey.
Yes, that Blizzard comes down there from N2S, as it looks like Sparker's going to be inside of it, but he's able to roll out and keep his life, as he will end up falling here towards the end. Seeker picking up some kills, as that'll be the Valiant flipping it. How do you think the Valiant's comp deals with like the pressure, right? Like now that they actually have control of the point, they can set up. Like Do you feel like it's a little bit set up better to be better on the defensive side of things, or to hold on more aggressive angles?
With Seeker on this Hanzo, he's going to be constantly shooting arrows, and the value that they have here is he only needs to hit one shot every now and then, and you can just see him just shooting down this left corridor, looking for anybody, just kind of rolling the dice for it. But they're going to have to be careful of this Hardy Shatter because the shield has gone down from Croy, so Hardy's going to look for this one.
Yeah, with Hanzo, you just kind of like pre-fire the choke so players are coming through, and sometimes you'll end up just getting one. As Annihilation popped there right after a Shatter. You see how low Hardy and Sparker go, but that's going to be an Immortality Field drop there by Landon and an Amp Matrix there, able to keep players alive. Yeah, another Dragon. That Dragon's going to go straight through the Amp Matrix, so just kind of the same logic of putting a Mei wall there to block some of the damage. If you throw that Dragon right at it, they're not able to stand behind it, put some damage down. So looks like Hardy and the rest of London, they're going to try and set up a little bit. CJ, the nice Amp Matrix placement here is he's going to be able to put down some significant damage, going to force players back. That's going to be the Immortality Field out as well from London Spitfire there, Scott. So they're going to have to wait a little bit of time here to go back out into the point and contest.
Valiant cycling ultimates and understanding their win conditions very well here right now. They are going to get walled off by Backbone, but he's going to have to use his Ice Block as he gets a little too aggressive. He throws the Blizzard. I don't know where that one went. I think they were throwing it at Croy, but he's managed to get out of this one. Sparker picks off Seeker, which should remove a lot of the damage from the Valiant, and that is going to cause the flip. And with 95% remaining, this is desperation for Valiant.
Yeah, it's going to be a Blizzard from the Valiant, but it looks like everybody kind of sidesteps it as Hardy trying to time the pin there on N2S as he's coming out of Ice Block. So yeah, one player got on there, contested for just a little bit. CJ around the corner, it'll be Crawley on the Wrecking Ball, getting on in, giving it a touch. Here's a Deadeye from range, trying to maybe scare some players from coming onto the point. Yep, that'll be a kill there for Sparker. So be the London Spitfire taking round number 1, 100-78, but pretty good round from both teams.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a mistake that we didn't really hit on in the middle of that round, which was Hardy. Yeah, I know. We never make mistakes.
There was never a mistake.
I would say less so a mistake if we missed it. Hardy Shatter actually didn't hit anybody because I think it got walled by Backbone. So a little bit of anti-synergy coming out from the London Spitfire, but they were able to turn that one around. But that is why Valiant got so close into that round, because they were able to win a fight you wouldn't expect them to win.
I'm going to use that now. I think that's a good one. Anti-synergy. Like, if I'm trolling people and they're like, you're trolling, I'm going to be like, no. We just have anti-synergy.
Yeah, we just have anti-synergy. You know what happens.
I like that. That's new. That's a good one.
But we are going to see London Spitfire coming out on the Winston. This is a composition they have looked comfortable on so far in the Pro-Am, while Valiant sticking to that Ramatra. So they're going to be spread all over the place. The London Spitfire are going to try and surround them and apply a ton of pressure, but Valiant should have a lot of staying power here on this point.
You heard it here, Chand. If you get into a game and you grief a teammate, you can just say, Custa told you. It's not that you're griefing, it's that you just have anti-synergy here. London Spitfire.
Just putting words in my mouth again. Hey, what's
happening? You actually did say that. That's, I mean, we get a rewind here on YouTube and we can actually see you saying that. That'll be London Spitfire going with the Winston-based composition here. So trying to access a little bit more of this high ground, collapsing. You also get the Sojourn in the mix. So this is a composition that wants to go fast. This also is a point that can be contested for what feels like an infinite period of time. As again, N2S and the Tracer coming back to try and get some health. And I mean, they just burn down Crawley so fast. Now they're going to have to back up.
Yeah, and this is the problem for the Valiant, I think, with the current setup that they have, is it's going to be very difficult for them to just find any picks or Croy to just get on top of absolutely anybody. Every player on the London Spitfire can run away from him, and this is the issue we saw in their match yesterday on Blizzard World. So they're going to need to find a way to route around and isolate certain targets, and it's going to be on Seeker to hit the shots. He is the primary damage dealer for this team, while N2S is going to be trying to lurk and put pressure on as the Tracer.
Like, if you were the Valiant right now, like, what kind of, what would you be kind of calling for in this type of position, right? Because you can't really access this Winston up on the high ground, and you don't want to, like, speed boost Crawley onto the point for him to just get poked down. Like what do you think their best angle of attack is?
I think it's just to set this up. As you can see, they drop the Kitsune Rush, they take the space, they put out a ton of damage. They should have a lot of sustainability, but if they can't find picks, the percentage is going up for London Spitfire. As you see, both Kitsune Rushes go down, no kills made, and the London Spitfire just continually contesting. Great little high noon speed boost play to apply pressure. You can see Hardy getting in a little bit of trouble, but gets away with it with the bubble. Overclock here by Sparker, unable to find anything with the barrier.
Yeah, and that was actually a protection Suzu that came in from Landon to save Hottie there. Just that brief moment of invulnerability. Is this fight has gone on. It's gone 30%, you know, still here for London Spitfire, able to hold on. It's still contested. Sparker almost walking into a pulse bomb there, but the backbone on the backside, finding Seeker is... Oh, you hate to see it. Hottie just juggling him right into traffic there. But nothing Liar could do was just like that. I mean, this point is so difficult because now you're sitting at just one fight. Then decide it. Feels like we only get 3 fights on this entire point.
And we talked about this Corey Annihilation before. He's going to pop it, but you're just going to see London Spitfire just be able to kite this one away. There off it goes. The pulse bomb does drop onto him, but he is going to have that sustainability on the point. Backbone, just too much damage to live through. And this should be the opportunity for Los Angeles Valiant to flip the point and start getting some point percentage up their way.
I could have been listening to you there and learning, but all I could think about is how we need like a Jim Bro Ramatra skin who just flexes his arms there in Annihilation and kills everybody. They
can just get Mitch Uber to be standing there and they can use him as the model.
No, his arms aren't big enough. They need bigger,
okay,
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking for, you know, maybe like my arms, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You could use mine as the model.
Buff one of you and Mitch, that's true.
It's true. Buff, taller, more Australian. More Australian for sure. This point as it'll be Hottie in London trying to go back, break this setup here for Valiant as N2S does have a pulse bomb to work with, but as we kind of saw a little bit from the free camp, like Hottie already has this high ground in that central pillar, and yeah, he's going to be able to drop on down with Sparker and just collapse onto 2 players. As Sparker, it's not an overclock here. He actually just farms this up constantly, and he's able to connect with 3 railgun shots. Man, that is going to be it. Is London Spitfire going to take map number 1? They look fantastic, playing multiple different types of comps.
Yeah, in the blink of an eye, London Spitfire just closing that distance, getting onto the backline and making it look easy against this Valiant squad. And the same issues that haunted them yesterday, haunting them once again. When they're playing against these dive compositions, they don't seem to want to match, but they also don't seem to have a great answer to dealing with it. So London Spitfire take this first map, and you have to imagine that the Valiant are going to take them to a map that the Ramatra is more favored.
Yeah, we can take a look at some of the highlights here from map number 1, and I think you just saw the versatility of this London Spitfire team, right? Able to play these Reinhardt comps, which we know Hottie loves, and then being able to go to the Winston. I know in round number 2 is see just really making it difficult on the Valiant, trying to make those Ramatra comps work, and this is the tough one. Yeah, this is Liar having anti-synergy with the highway. Anti-synergy with that automobile there coming at him.
I'm glad you're learning, Matt. You're learning a lot in this cast about, you know, the strategies of Overwatch. So I'm glad I've done something here.
Yeah, well, you know, being able to cast with somebody who's just, you know, a slightly better player than me has definitely been really eye-opening here. But we'll be right back after this quick break. We'll see if Valiant can force a game 3. Stay tuned. So welcome back to the Western Pro-Am. Mr. X here with Custa. It's a London Spitfire. Up 1-0 in the series here against the LA Valiant. LA Valiant, their map pick. They go Kings Row, which this seems right up. This seems right up London's alley, though. Scott playing that Reinhardt.
Well, I think that was always going to be the difficulty of the Valiant heading into this series. Is London loves to play that brawl style, but if you're the Valiant, that's kind of what you're good at, and really the only thing you've tried to show so far in the Pro-Am. So if it's a double-edged sword, it's something you just have to deal with. But something I've been impressed with by London so far in the Pro-Am is they're showing a lot more flexibility in compositions. Obviously, in the playoffs last year, had a great performance playing that Winston. And last year in 2022, especially in the front half of the season, we were saying London Spitfire are kind of like brawl one tricks. They only wanted to play the Reinhardt, didn't want to play the meta, and it worked to a certain degree, but they're showing this year they want to be a more evolved team that has a lot of diversity in their roster. With adding 2 players in Sky Ripper and Lethal, that should enable that a lot more as well.
Yeah, or you just give some more time to these players who we saw last year, put up really strong performances to learn a little bit, know about just kind of how to play kind of compositions together in different ways. So we'll see the Valiant here just going to stick with their Ramatra setup on defense. The Seeker on the Hanzo, Nas on the Mei. It's CJ and Liar going to be playing the Baptiste with the Lucio. I feel like Lucio is almost like required here for
absolutely.
The speed around the map. As are they trying to like bait? Okay, for a second there I thought they were trying to bait with the Hanzo and like maybe it looked like it's not the Widow play, but yeah, Sonic Arrow. Widow jumping across.
Cheeky look there from Backbone, but he is going to go over to the Hanzo.
A little bit of a peek.
Interesting change here as we see Sparker go down, and that should slow things down to begin with. Sparker's actually going to be on the Cassidy with Backbone on the Hanzo. They're going to avoid playing the mate. They don't want to take that wall setup where they can close that distance. Would prefer to go with something with just more raw damage, trying to burst through this Ramatra because he does not have a shield to protect him and the rest of his team.
Yeah, and if the Ramatra doesn't have that Nemesis form, right, a little bit easier to take out there as well. So Cry just throws the field right on top of himself, then uses the Nemesis form, but some big damage down as they're going to lose the Mei there early on. So now you start to see that this is where it gets deadly, right? Because you can have the Hanzo poke here through like Hotel, you can set up the Cassidy on the other side, and it just becomes very costly to make it through the choke.
And this is the danger of playing against the Hanzo here. You can see he's just throwing arrows, hoping to hit something, and eventually he will hit something along with the consistent damage. We are going to see a recontest coming out here from the Valiant, and the London Spitfire are going to respect it. But Seeker going through the Hotel wins that 1v1 against Backbone. The Immortality field goes down to keep Seeker up. Great play there by Landon and Seeker, but no! They don't touch the point with Croy going down. So those picks are for naught, and the London Spitfire pick up the first point.
Yes, not able to contest the point there. It's a C9 in the chat from Admiral. I think we're gonna start to need like really strict conditions on what is a C9 and what's not.
Yeah, the refs are gonna write something into the rules. We can't have the players doing this.
Every point take, regardless of how it happens, I see C9 now. As London. They do a nice job there. Like you mentioned, though, they kept the Valiant, they kept Seeker alive, right? He gets hit with that magnetic grenade. CJ with a nice Immortality field, keeping him alive. Liar is there as well to put pressure on the Sparker, but not able to get back and contest the point. As London, they've made some decent progress here through the second stage of the map, as Seeker looking for maybe a little bit of an off angle for a Dragon Strike.
That is the added negative when you get C9 in this situation, is that you do not get that close hold. We're going to see a Dragon come out from Seeker, but no depths, if anything, just slowing things down a little bit. So nothing to be gained there, as this is quite a difficult corridor to maneuver around if you're the London Spitfire. So they're actually going to go through the building, take this left angle, as you can see, and that's going to force the Valiant to sort of respect the team a little bit more. As they come back through, they're going to try and apply this pressure. But without the Mei as well, they can't really just like rush into Croy, because there's just going to be so much support coming in from the Valiant. And now they're going to go the other way. They're just doing figure eights around the Valiant. The amplification matrix goes down, Spitfire will disengage.
Yeah, and with that Am Matrix, look to maybe even try and throw the Dragon on through it, as it looks like they're trying to get Hottie in position to maybe get a Shatter off here. So I think both teams know that this could be it. Oh, I was going to say they don't want to get first pick. Do you lose CJ? That is so rough. No Immortality field here.
Great block.
Yeah, really nice there from Nos. He's able to just block that. He doesn't get taken out, but not able to live on through it after the Blizzard and Ice Block are used. His Backbone's going to pick up 2. Hottie getting right up in Cry's face. He's not able to finish it off, but enough damage added there is just like that. With how much cart progress they got, all they needed to do was win that one fight, and they're going to be able to take the second checkpoint.
Yeah, London Spitfire playing very patient, just playing ring around the rosy with the Valiant until they find an opening pick. And CJ just ends up a little bit in no man's land, and Sparker takes him out of the air. So with 4 minutes remaining, London Spitfire are in a great position to cap this through as we see N2S switch over to the Genji. We didn't see great things in the previous series for the Genji. It's a difficult hero to see, so maybe we should nerf him again. But you know, the Valiant, they're going to have to show something special to really pop off on this Genji, because what do you do as the Genji? You're just hoping for great dash resets on this hero?
Yeah, follow-up damage down from the Hanzo, but it's a really rough spot here as that Matrix goes down on the corner from Landon. Oh, nice, nice play there from Nos. It's going to be able to control a little bit of high ground. I think that's probably why you like the Genji as well, but it's going to be a Deadeye here from Sparker, trying to protect him. Oh, he's actually going to connect with Liar, so he's going to find one. So maybe London can keep this going.
Yeah, and then London's going to just sort of understand that they have so much like staying power with the Reinhardt. They can play behind the shield, and they're just going to wait this one out, wait to get their reinforcements coming back. But it's not a bad fight if you're the London Spitfire, but looking to open this one up. They're getting closer to the ultimates. They have the Shadow on Hardy, which should always get value against this Ramatra setup.
Yeah, and what is like big value on the Shadow, right? I think if you're able to get one here, they actually connect with 2. They connect with the Genji and the Ramatra, but it's going to be a nice sound barrier from Liar. Not enough to keep Cry alive. And look at this, the payload still moving here towards that golden box, you know, the victory at the end. So Nos gonna fall, Cry getting onto the wrecking ball, just trying to come back and touch. So he's not gonna make it, and that's going to be the London Spitfire finishing the map, 244 in the bank.
Yeah, London Spitfire showing why this is their home. They are known to be very good at this map because it's just so conducive to playing this brawl composition, and Hardy playing it to a T. They understand what their limitations are and when they should and shouldn't be playing this Mei. That damage just coming out from Sparker and Backbone on the Cassidy and the Hanzo, it's just so hard to deal with. There's just so many picks, so much pick potential, so much damage, and the Los Angeles Valiant just not able to withstand through it.
It's going to be rough for the Valiant, I think, Scott, especially now. So they will be on offense, big time bank here for the London Spitfire, for the Valiant to try and match or better, right? They'd have to go lightning fast, because really the only thing that got stalled out was like in this second part of the map, right? Through this streets phase, that's where you saw a little bit of a hold there. So what are we waiting for? Mei sending everybody up.
I don't think London really lost a fight that entire time.
No, they really didn't.
They were just taking their time, right?
Yeah, they just were pretty patient there. I think they knew that where the cart progress had gotten to when you're in the streets phase, that they were just one fight away. And realistically, at that point, you're just like one pick. Like if you get first pick, like you're in a great position to just take that point. And then they just kind of like played it perfectly towards the end. Like it really didn't feel like they lost any fights. If anything, they were just a little bit more patient. Then the Valiant is Valiant. See what they decide to do. It'll be a Mei here set up. So Mei Hanzo set up for the Valiant as Spitfire. They'll play the Mei with the Cassidy. So not as much range here, obviously, for London, in comparison of the Cassidy with the Hanzo, but can get a little bit more in the mix, right? With that magnetic grenade, can play a little bit closer. Can't play any closer now, as that's going to be Seeker finding a headshot there on the Sparker, as some big damage goes down there on the Backbone. He's got to ice block him back up, as I really like this shield pressure and everything that they've done thus far, the Valiant. They push them back into this corner. Yeah,
that opening pick by Seeker just allows them to play aggressive and not being too greedy, not trying to run Hardy down. They know if they try and go into this room, they're going to be in trouble. 2 ticks go for the Valiant, but London Spitfire are going to try and contest with Hardy getting over that wall. He should be able to just stand there with his shield as a flank comes out from Admiral. The flanking Lucia takes out CJ, but trades his own life. But the point is under duress, and Seeker just shooting so many arrows from above here, shooting down onto Hardy, and they have no way of dislodging him. And Hardy is just taking so much damage as he has to stay on this point, but it will eventually flip.
Oh, and he tries to actually get, a charge back out to the rest of his team. Landon's still there. He gets booted off course and then gets taken out. So this is really good for the Valiant as you find these last 2 kills. It's going to be pretty far away in terms of being able to kind of like, get the people back off the spawn. So pretty good here so far for the Valiant here on offense.
Yeah, so they got a lot of time to go with. They have the amplification matrix. They're going to be able to step up with that one. Plus with Corey on this attack, the Annihilation should be able to find some value. So far in this Reinhardt versus Ramatra matchup, or just in this whole series as a whole, he hasn't been able to get any value with this ultimate. He just feels like every time he goes aggressive, they either run from him or kill him. But with that Dragon going down, creating so much space, Hardy desperation shattered to try and close that one out. This is great timing by the Valiant because they might be able to just close this second point out if they're able to clear the card fast enough.
And all they had to do was use Dragon, right? They used Dragon, they had a Maywall in place, and Hardy gets absolutely nothing with a Shatter. So really difficult. I mean, look at that, Scott. They're able to hold on to 4 ultimates here. If you're the Valiant, if the London Spitfire, they come back and contest this, you have a lot to take this checkpoint. You may be even in a spot where you can set a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going at a blistering pace right now. You can see they're respecting the ultimates coming up on London Spitfire, knowing that Backbone has that Blizzard. If Croy tries to step up too far, as soon as he pops that Annihilation, he's going to get Blizzarded on. The High Noon goes down by Sparker to create a little bit of space. You can see Croy just backing up, trying to do as much damage as they can. This is going to be a long, drawn-out fight on this card. It's about who gets the first pick.
And I think if you're London, you just want to burn as much clock as possible at this stage. That's going to be Blizzard from both teams, and Immortality Field and Amp Matrix used there by Landon quite early, and it looks like it's going to be Valiant coming out on top, able to find some of these kills. So Valiant, they'll complete checkpoint B, Scott, and they'll have 4 minutes plus. I think though, like if you're gonna speak, about like Spitfire and like where you can kind of see some positives at this state in the game, like they did get the Valiant to use a good chunk of ultimates there, right? Where now you come back, like maybe you win one fight here, you can actually reset this a little bit. But still, I think this is favoring the Valiant.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing very well right now. Seeker on that Hanzo is finding pick after pick, and he won that fight with the Dragon. Finds another pick here onto Landon. But we're going to see N2S switch over to this Genji. It might be good in this setup if they're trying to clean up kills in the backline, but with Backbone returning the favor onto Laya, that might just slow everything down. And Seeker's just going to sort of shoot arrows, hoping for gold to get another pick, but Backbone shows N2S the door as soon as he peeks his head up that lip.
Yeah, but still 3 minutes plus here for the LA Valiant, as Sparker will find one as well. So you'll be able to stabilize a little bit here if you're the London Spitfire, but still not great, as they finish with 244 in the time bank. I think you're going to get pretty close if you're the Valiant in terms of time. Like, let's say they were able to take it now. I actually think you're going to probably come pretty close, maybe even in terms of time bank, where the Valiant may still find themselves behind in terms of time bank, but still in a good spot to finish out the map. Oh, as soon as that Ramatra shield goes down, it's going to be Backbone with a headshot, and Valiant has to back up. That's going to be actually Seeker using the Dragon here, maybe trying to catch a few of them off guard, pushing up. Doesn't find anything, as that may be one you would like to have back, as if anything, maybe just trying to find a little bit of a cheeky pick off there, as Seeker gets quite low, gets booped to the other side. He's going to be able to make it out.
Yeah, but they have to use that lamp, which is going to slow down this push just a little bit. N2S is almost coming up to that Genji, but Croy with his Annihilation, once again, unable to really find true value with Hardy on that, with that Earth Shatter as well. You're going to see the head-to-head matchup. He does get shattered and he gets pinned, and Croy goes down with no real answer. Laya's beat just a fraction too late to be able to say Croy, but with a return pick by Seeker, this could open the door for Valiant to find some more picks.
Yeah, you're going to have Nos with that blade coming up here shortly. And as soon as I said it, he gets hit with a magnetic grenade. There's nothing he can do about that, but on the other side, for London Spitfire, right, when that blade does come through, you're going to end up having a sound barrier here to be able to counter that. So see how London decides to use that sound barrier, where this is about like 2 minutes off the clock here. The London Spitfire is burned. It's Valiant, they got to get some positive momentum here. That's going to be an Amp Matrix with Annihilation here used by the Valiant, and just Amp Matrix return. Potentially, I thought there that they were trying to force out that sound barrier, right? And then you get a free blade with no beat. But London, they hold on to that sound barrier. They feel like they don't need it.
Yeah, with that amplification matrix is just so much damage, and then Backbone just shooting through it can hit anyone and kill anyone with that body shot. And they're just finding so many picks right here, and London Spitfire's just stalling the time with only a minute and a half remaining for the Valiant when they have to use most of their ultimates. I really need to see this value of the Genji from Nas. He has not been able to show anything so far. Can he find some value with the Genji blade when it gets the beat and the dragon
Scott
is going down?
Oh, and that's terrible there for the Valiant, as this is going to be the blade that comes out from Nas. Sound barrier here from Admiral. He'll find one with the blade, but he's going to lose two teammates in the process. And what's so terrible about that, Scott, is when Backbone's using his dragon, it's actually Seeker using his at the same exact time, and he doesn't even get the dragon off, and he falls during it. So he's going to lose that dragon strike, as right there you pretty much lose your dragon strike in blade in one fight under a minute to go here. So this is looking like London's going to be able to make a little bit of a comeback, a little bit of a final stand here towards the end.
And they have the Shatter and the Amplification Matrix to take this fight within if they need to. Oh, Lucio getting very aggressive into this room and gets punished for it. And with only 30 seconds remaining, Valiant needs to be careful. They need to reset this quickly so they will get another fight. They do have both support ults coming up. They are going to have the Annihilation, so it is possible. But you can see, no, let him off the edge.
So mean.
No. Okay. That should be okay for CJ, but you can see London Spitfire recognizing they have the advantage. They're going to try and step up, make it hard for the Valiant to get through it, and a flying Shatter. Valiant do not see it coming, Matt.
Yeah, push up to the spawn door, get a Shatter there. That one's got good value from Hottie. As for the Valiant, you're not going to be able to get off an Annihilation or an Amp Matrix there, as that'll be the London Spitfire taking this series 2-0, Scott, as they show they're the kings of the rush.
Yeah, and Valiant, it was always going to be an uphill battle going against such a veteran team in that brawl style of the London Spitfire. They showed some good signs of life here and there, but they just don't have as much flexibility or knowledge of how to play this composition as London Spitfire do. But it's always the man in the front line that always gets the player of the match whenever there's a brawl setup. Our player of the match is going to be Hardy on that Reinhardt. He just plays these matchups to a T. He understands when he can go aggressive, understands how to get value out of these Earth Shatters against the Ramattra setup. So Hardy leading the charge once more for the London Spitfire.
Yeah, like not a ton of value with the Shatters, right? But you just saw a little bit of flexibility here from Hottie, like able to play the Winston a little bit on Oasis, but the Reinhardt just being able to get in the mix, stay alive, the survivability. We know what Hottie can do on Reinhardt in general, and in a series like this where he goes pretty much unchecked, he's able to put up some big numbers here. As you see, these are all per 10 minutes. So a limb sitting at 11, keeping the deaths low, didn't really get punished like we were talking about. Just a pretty strong series overall from Hottie.
Yeah, the Earth Shatter Limbs is where I think he really did his best. Other than that anti-synergy moment with Backbone that I know you love to talk about, Matt, he was finding value every single time, using it against Croy. That pretty much made it very difficult for Croy to get anything done. But I also want to give a quick shout out to Backbone as well. I think he played very well on that second map, on that Hanzo, really recognizing the Mei wasn't working and just found instant value as soon as he matched Seeker on that Hanzo.
Yeah, and tough way to go down there if you're the LA Valiant. You look to be, pretty in control there on Kings Row on offense, right? You made a really good push all the way through checkpoint B. You had a lot of ultimates going in there, just not able to seal the deal. As that's going to be it for Scott and I today. Just quick 2 matches here at the front end of the show, but there's still a lot more competition to come right after this break.
Celebrate the first Overwatch League Pro-Am event in history. Head on over to Overwatch League shop and grab your Pro-Am tournament tees. As you can see them on screen, how nifty, how neat. Don't wait, because they're only available until the end of Pro-Am tournaments. So it's a limited cup you have. Gotta get that done right now. And we are back here with our Watchpoint game break. Danny and Lemon joining me once again. We will be discussing everything we saw on the server. London took the W. However, Valiant again, you know, actually looking surprisingly good, or better than a lot of people would have expected. Exactly, you didn't get rolled, so that's the W in my book. But let's talk about it a little bit more specific, especially you here, Lemon. We heard Matt and Scott talk about anti-synergy. And you found a few prime examples to really explain what that means and how that looks like on display.
Yeah, I'd love to zoom back in on the Oasis, the very first map, specifically University, since I'm teaching a lesson. Anti-synergy from both sides. This is around the 78% mark for London. Things are going well. This is the first fight they lost. Seeker's Dragon, this is the blue dragon you're seeing, isolates Hottie, who's over in the mini hallway. You see him in the X-ray. But I didn't feel like there was much push from Crawley and friends to go and actually kill Hottie. Maybe there was a bit of confusion because of that May wall that came up. Didn't feel like they had a plan or expected to do anything out of Seeker's Dragon. I don't think anybody who throws a Dragon Strike should just expect to kill something, but rather have a proactive plan on who are you isolating and what is the plan after. And it felt like there was hesitation there. Then afterwards, plan B, Nas throws out a Blizzard. Hottie is by himself again. And this is where I see anti-synergy from London, because nobody actually got frozen by this Nos Blizzard, and you can kind of see where its zone is. There's actually a foot between the back wall and where that Blizzard lands, where the rest of London could have actually had line of sight on Hottie, who was still isolated on the point. Meanwhile, Hottie still has Shatter, by the way, and could have just peeled for himself or bought time at any moment, but he trusted Landon to have line of sight of him, and Landon could have. I say this is a mistake on Landon, that he could have positioned in front, or out of the Blizzard really, but facing Hottie. But it looked like Landon was leaving that fight. Anti-synergy amongst London of Landon thinking that they should have backed out of the fight, Hottie saying, let's keep going. And I think Hottie, if he needed to buy time, could have shattered, but London costed that fight. When I don't think those ultimates were that amazing by the Valiant. I think that was a very winnable fight by London. So you can already tell in these first few matches of the preseason how communication is breaking down amongst teams that you wouldn't expect that. You know, we expect a lot of synergy out of London. So it's kind of uncharacteristic to see them not match up.
Yeah, and these are definitely some mistakes which they need to be cleaned up moving forward, because better teams will capitalize on those in an instant. So that can get really, really scary. Alas, didn't really matter for London. They did take the W, which is their first W now in the Pro-Am tournament. And we hope, of course, to see many more of those if they want to make it out of the group. And we do have an interview ready with the man himself, Chatty. Hottie is joining us right now for a quick chat.
Chatty.
Long time no see. Welcome to Watchpoint.
Hello, guys. Glad to be back.
Oh, we're happy
so
to
excited.
see. Yeah, I know. Like, tell your face, Hottie.
Yeah.
No, we're just so happy to see you again and to have a quick chat. Let's talk about your preparation for today's match. We discussed it on the desk that we were actually very pleasantly surprised with how the Valiant looked like yesterday already. Did you guys watch that footage against in their match against the Saints? And if so, what was the takeaway from your team? Did that influence the strategy coming into today's match?
Yeah, we watched how they played, and we noticed that they're mostly playing really slow, like counter dive bunker play style, and so we just found a strategy how we can play around that and look for our opportunities based on that, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. And
it was really fun. I mean, I'm watching the clip right now of you hitting Liar onto the highway. Then also on King's Row, where you isolated CJ. You didn't even let him jump off the map.
Yeah.
Was there a sense of fun that you guys felt a lot more relaxed playing against Valiant, or is this just your natural bullying techniques on Winston and Reinhardt?
I mean, I think it's both of that. We felt definitely more relaxed today than yesterday, but I think it's also no shame losing to Atlanta. We really think they're one of the top 1, 2, 3 teams for sure right now. One of the best.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, for my question, I wanted to ask you about sort of the composition right now, because I feel like a lot of teams in the Pro-Am are leaning more towards the Ramatra Brawl. But Hadi, you and the London Spitfire are probably one of the few teams that are sticking with the Rhine Brawl. Like, is there a reason? Are you guys just playing to your comfort, or what is it?
We're definitely playing to our comfort, of course. We like to play Ryan Combs, we like to play Backbone Jamie on May or on Hanzo. But we also we think we figured out a play style mostly, how we can beat Ramatra. And yeah, to be honest, we're just playing like the real man's rush. They're just playing Ramatra, it's kind of the poor man's rush. We don't have too much respect for that.
Poor man's rush.
I love that. I was about to say, like, there we go. We're looking for a name, and Hadi provided. Thank you so much, Hadi. We wish you best of luck in your upcoming games. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us.
Thanks, Hadi.
Thank you, guys.
All right. There we have it. Poor man's rush. That's
poor man's rush.
Stop it. I like it. I like it. Now, we do have another exciting match coming our ways, which we want to break down for you as well. Atlanta Reign, one of the favorites of the Pro-Am tournament, if not the upcoming season, will face off against the #1 contenders from the NA region, the Saints. They won their match against the Valiant yesterday, and it was a good look from that team. However, going up against the Reign, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know what strategy they have to like shake out of their pockets in order to make that happen, because this is a scary lineup, and we now see Donghak back in action as well.
Yeah, I mean, Saints looked pretty good yesterday, but going up against the Atlanta Reign, it is going to be a tough fight for them. We just had a look on their first match, Atlanta Reign, and I think Costa hit on this as well. Like, they're very versatile. They could play anything right now to a very high level. They have a really strong backline. DPS, we don't even have to talk about it. Stalker and Lip is just crazy. And then, of course, we're seeing Donghak for this match right now. So I'm expecting to see that Winston and the Wrecking Ball composition going into this match.
And I gotta talk about the Saints, because I think there's very high expectations of them, at least coming out of #1 of contenders. But even their team and just contenders, people have tweeted in general that these are people that are still in college, still in school, that have like a 9 to 5 and don't have 40 hours a week to commit to scrims. And they've even kind of been open on Twitter of just maybe people should calm down about them maybe making out of groups or just beating OWL teams who do this full time, who have the resources to commit to this. But on a side note, Saints, I'm excited to see False on the lineup that maybe he'll look better on. He seems to be like the Ramatra specialist, and you have Mikey, who's a former shock ball specialist, which is very strong in this meta. There's so much hype behind Tree. His performance has skyrocketing contenders, and King has finally found his place as kind of this tracer May player for the team. I think Saints' backline is very inexperienced compared to obviously Chio and Fielder, and I think that's going to be the biggest gap we're going to see. But I think there's some veteranship around the Saints that can make this match not look like a stomp, but like everyone has been telling y'all from the desk to people online, that Atlanta are #1, and the #1 from contenders, we'll see if they can take a map, but it's just not likely.
Not likely, but it would be so much fun if it did happen. So there's always that little hope, the little energy we put out in the universe. Maybe we can talk it into existence. For now, I do want to take a look at our predictions for this one. Once again, I feel like for matches like that, it's just like a politeness of me to ask, because I'm almost convinced we're all going to be going the same way. I'm going to pick my homies, Atlanta Reign, all of the way. They've just been looking so strong. There was not a crack in their armor. They show versatility, and on each and every individual role, they just seem to outmatch the opposition at this point.
I mean, I'm on the same boat as Zoe. I'm going to go with Atlanta Reign. I'm just excited to see. We saw a lot of Hawk on their previous match. I think I want to see more from Donghak as well. I've heard a lot of great things. And even yesterday from their match as well, like his Wrecking Ball is pretty good. So I'm excited for Donghak.
Yeah, I got to go with the Atlanta Reign if I want to be correct in that case. But in terms of the substitutes that we can see from Saints, I mean, contenders have this unlimited roster that they can go for when it comes to contenders. They can have these substitutes. And I think if they start with Mikey, he's looking like the better solo tank. I mean, he showed that on the Shock last season, and Ball is so important in this meta. I still need to see more from False before I believe in him as a solo tank. You kind of see, I think it was Vancouver Titans, I believe, last season, where he kind of struggled on that Sigma, but at least if he can specialize on the Ramatra, I believe in him. But I want to see Mikey start for this team and truly be that confident front line that Saints really need, especially if it's going to be against Donghack, if it has to be against Hawk, whatever it is. I want to see Mikey in the lineup take charge, because we saw even from Trick Room yesterday against the Shock how important a confident and experienced Ball or Hammond player does to a team that can be disrupted, or just if you can disrupt the comms and the structure around Atlanta, I think Saints can maybe surprise people. Do you expect a Ball mirror here for the first map for sure?
Oh, that'll be interesting. Mikey versus Donghak on Ball. Ball v Ball.
Yeah. I'm leaning more Winston, but we'll see what they prefer.
Generally, do you feel like Atlanta Reign, so far of what we've seen from them, do you feel like they have the versatility in terms of composition, that they are pretty much able, with the pieces they have in their puzzle, to play it all? Or have you seen like a real gap emerging so far?
At least for me, it's like from the interview with Hawk, he sounds like he's figured out what the weaknesses and the strengths are in the meta. When I asked him about the Doomfist, he said no way, and that's his best hero, and he knows that thing inside and out. So for him to tell us that, you know, Ramatra is just that much better, like, they've taken the time to figure out the meta, and I think a lot of contenders team have had a platform to actually practice on. That's why the contenders teams are looking better than they, you know, a lot of people expected them to, because they've also figured out the meta. But Hawk is such a smart guy. I think the only thing we're worried about with Atlanta was that language barrier that he talked about in the interview, where, you know, pre-fight planning or just these elaborate conversations you can't really get that language out there. So that's where maybe plans can break down. If Saints can take advantage of just disrupting plans and making them make quick decisions, maybe Saints can break that up.
Exactly. We'll see if that is going to be the case. They are going for an uphill battle against the Atlanta Reign. And I now have the utmost pleasure of bringing in our first Contenders caster pair to call all the action. So please give a lot of love and a warm welcome in chat for Dor and Hurix. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Zoe. I know I'm happy to be here, and I know Hurix is happy to be on a broadcast where the average age isn't just half of his, so right sides for everybody.
That's messed up, man. They can already see the hairline. You don't have to go ahead and just make it obvious, man. I put it out on Twitter. I said, be nice to me, so just be nice.
No chance, Hurix. I got more people to make fun of you in front of now.
That's tough. That's a tough fight. Let's go ahead and let's dive into this. Let's focus in on this first match here. And of course, Ilios going to be map number 1 here in match 3. Again, Reign versus Saints. This is a nice map. I mean, we just heard the desk talking about it a little bit. I think that this one could provide a little bit of interest for us here today, because this is a map that we're certainly destined to see a lot less of what we saw in qualifiers, which was a lot of Reinhardt, and we're probably going to be seeing a little bit more of Winston Ball here.
Yeah, and I think that brings up the thing that Danny was talking about earlier, right? That potential Mikey Donghack showdown. Dude, come on, who's not hyped for that?
I know I am. I mean, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, especially with how much conversation has been driven around that player throughout the offseason, and now seeing what this team has been capable of already, I mean, certainly speaks volumes to where they could be, you know, down the line once we see that actual official season start. This is already just such a great look for them to open things up. But as we get diving in here, going to be starting things up on Ruins, and I already like the looks that I'm seeing. Of course, one thing to note, though, and I'm curious to see if they do want to stick with this, and I imagine that there is some potential that they will. Vigilante on the Ana, whereas Saints, I imagine they're going to be going with that Lucio Kiriko. One thing that I think we do need to mention before we kind of dive into this, actually, Dor, is the fact that Squid, very known for playing the Kiriko, was picked up for a few different rosters, actually, because of the nature of their skill set with Kiriko specifically. Saints, though, they used to have CJ on this team, and this is a very different Saints because of that loss as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Tree was him for contenders, CJ was kind of also Saints
him.
will be feeling that loss at the time being, but it's Reign who take an initial engagement, and Tree put 6 feet under.
Already like the opening here. Reign just right off the pile driver. That's one thing that you don't often see with this type of composition is just right off the neutral with the ball composition. You see that pile drive come in, and Saints just were unprepared to accept that dive pressure. Again, these neutral fights with the ball tend to be a little bit more difficult to actually pull off, but you can see, again, the synergy for the Reign is definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, they're 100% on the same page, and Lip always a threat, throwing and damage building up towards that EMP. It's dangerous, but Saints continue to walk in nevertheless. Nobody's been found quite yet, but as the ball rolls in, slams onto the back line, no value has been found. It's still neutral. Tree doesn't really have sightlines to work with, though. Slides in, looks for the shot. It's Chio going down first. Saints decide to strike following that first pick, but they're not done yet. There's some health bars still yet to be chipped down for the Reign.
Yeah, dealing with Donghack still going to be a difficulty. They finally do get that kill. They will get the flip here to follow as well. But you can see one thing that Saints are trying to do here is apply that pressure to the backline. They're trying to get up into Vigilante and Chio's face. And you see the swap actually coming out from Vigilante as well. That's onto the Kiriko. It's going to be a little bit more elusive on this pick. Certainly a little bit less diveable than you would see from the Ana, who can only sleep dart one player. Now also you get that Suzu as well for the Reign. That's going to help them a ton in protecting not just the backline, but also Donghack, Lip, Stalker as well.
Mine's out to start things off. Saints being zoned from point. Tree is in a very dangerous place right about now, but does manage to find his way out as well, sliding onto the high ground. He's able to dive with Mikey, taking down Chio. That means that the beat and the Kitsune rush for Saints are completely uncontested, and it's only going to take one of those two to finish the fight off, or I'm wrong entirely. Reign believe in this fight for one reason or another. EMP into all of them, and it's worked! Vego goes down! There's no sound barrier in tow now for Saints! This thing's been flipped on its head!
Oh, and just like that, we're going to see an investment from the Saints, actually. They're going to recommit to this. They think that Vega might be able to come back, give them the sound barrier, and allow them to pivot this fight back into their favor. They're looking for a momentum shift.
Vega drops the beat, just gets it in time to save Mikey, but Mikey's out of the fight. He already used the leap outward. Saints were not on the same page. Not everybody believed in Vega the way that Vega believed in himself right about now, but at least they're putting extra percentage up on the point. They dive back in, and they'll get a recontest. That is until their Winston goes down. With Mikey out of the picture, Reign should be able to tackle this one.
Yeah, this should be a flip, but you have to give credit to Saints here because they're sticking around. I mean, they're still sticking around. Mikey is already back up off of respawn. It's been that long, so a lot of credit for the Saints to get up to a really nice percentage here. And Reign looking to battle back into this one. They're going to be without the EMP for now. But the thing that they can rely on is that sound barrier. Chio still does have that, so Reign should be able to pack a big punch here and back it up.
Now, this is they don't find a first pick off mines, but it will just be zoning for Donghack. He's done a great job thus far.
All right, Reign take the lead now. Both of those support ults coming up. They got to deal with Tree, though. Tree did so much work in the qualifiers. It's been a little bit quiet so far in this matchup here. Not able to find a kill just yet against the Reign.
I think it's crazy just how much you can see the Reign respecting that overclock, but once it's over, oh, it's their time to shine, baby. Kitsune rush, EMP, the whole kitchen sink's being thrown in. Reign believe this is the final fight, but can Saints fit one more in?
It's going to be a tough call, actually. I mean, Mikey's not on the wrecking ball here, so it's going to be difficult. King also was the last to die for the Saints, so getting a touch is going to really just fall on Vega if he can get there in time, and just not going to be even.